Okay, I've got Spice hooked up here, and as you can tell, it's a little bit different setup than it was with Beauty. I've got it sitting on blocks because Spice is a taller cow, and her teeth are shorter. Like I said, remember, she's just a 2-quarter cow. The front ones don't work. And she was a Jersey Ayrshire cross. But you can see, well, I gotta move her tail here. Her udder doesn't look quite the same as Beauty. We'll still be able to tell once it's all milked out. But there's not a nice line. This is why the dairy farm got rid of her. There's like a nice line usually between these two sides right here. She didn't have that. If you're looking to get a cow, you want to ask if they've had any trouble with mastitis. And that's where the milk gets all kind of clumpy. Kind of like cottage cheese, but not as bad. And that's an infection, which they get that from different bacteria. See, she's a happy girl, eating her feed. We'll have to get her some more here. Our cows are pretty much, this is a grass-based dairy that we do. So these pellet things, they're not really grain. They're roughage that they compress. And we buy it at MFA. And this little milk stanchion is just a little homemade job. There was a concrete pad here when I first moved to this place. And we just kind of built around it. I'm not a builder, so that's why the cows' heads are stuck outside. Because I didn't think that through too well when I decided to put a building up. So if you have something that you want to use, that's something to think about. How is it going to work for the animals? As you can see, we've got, boards here. There's a board over here. That's for a cow that we're first training, and she's not used to coming in, and she might want to try and back out. So we can take another board and stick from that board to the front of this one. And as you can see from that angle, then that keeps her from backing all the way out. Because my door from previous cows, you notice how bent this is, and it will no longer latch. So I have engineered a rope that I keep it tied up with. Keeps the wind out, and the cows have figured out if they beat on the door enough with their heads, they can actually open it. So we've just tried to eliminate that problem, because we don't want the cows in here unless they're actually in here for a reason, milking or whatever. So, you want to know how old a cow is? A cow can last up to 10 years if she's been taken care of and not pushed a lot. Most dairy farms feed cows a crazy amount of feed and grain. We lost 2 cows a couple years ago because they actually got into our chicken house where we kept our grain at. They ate so much grain that it caused their stomachs to bloat up, which they just get full of gas, and they stagger around like they're drunk, because in essence they really are drunk, because the grain will ferment in their stomachs and the gas builds up, and it basically, I know it sounds awful, will crush their lungs and heart to where they can't breathe or anything anymore, or it turns into alcohol poisoning and in the bloodstream. And so, it basically kills them. You can try some different things. We tried everything. We tried mineral oil, and you can take a needle and put in to the side wall here. It's got to be a really long needle. That's kind of open right there on the inside, and it has an air hole. And if you can let that gas out, but once it turns into that liquid, it's just too late. So anyway, that's when we made the decision to not do grain anymore. You can see her udder is changing. The way it looks over on the right hand side is just a little bit of a bump. So she's just about finished milking. There's quite a bit of wrinkle there. I think you can see that. And her right side always milks out first, and the left side will milk out a little slower. So she takes less time to milk, but she's not giving me as much milk because she's been milking for a really long time. A cow's gestation period is 9 months. And so it's just like a person. So it takes a while to have a baby. And, you know, so usually they get bred back right away. If you can go to a dairy farmer and get an older cow, usually they're the cheaper ones. They don't have as much production. 1 gallon of milk weighs 8 pounds. So if they say a cow is milking 40 pounds, then you just do the math. So that's a 5 gallon a day cow. Most people don't need that much unless you're making cheese or selling the milk or whatever. Here where I live, it is legal to sell raw milk. You just have to do it from the farm. You can't like sit up at the street corner in town and say you're going to sell milk. That'll get you in trouble. But I know there's some people that do take it. They call it a delivery. I don't know. I try not to get into the government stuff too much. We do sell milk here, but ours is from the farm. They come to the farm and get it. Some places will allow you to sell dairy products at farmers market. That all depends on what your state says about it. And then each farmers market is different. Our local farmers market last year told us that we could sell my butter, that I make butter and cheese there, but they wouldn't allow me to bring the milk unless it was a pre-order. So we started taking pre-orders, but farmers market is over this year for the season. So we don't live far from town, but people just sometimes don't, you know, don't want to take the time to go ahead and come out, I guess. But anyway, I gave her just a little bit more. She stands in the stanchion a little better than Beauty does. So we're waiting for that last little bit to finish up here. I don't like to use the strap that goes across their backs because once there gets to be very much weight in the milk bucket, they don't seem to do so well. They stand with their back kind of bowed in, and I guess I would too if somebody put a bunch of weight on my back like that. You know, 40 or 50 pounds, they weren't designed to carry weight. You don't want a cow that has problems with their feet because it's really hard to find somebody to trim their feet. And sometimes the back toes here, they grow over each other. And then they can't walk. Or they'll grow up and curl around in a circle. They still can't walk. And a cow that can't walk won't eat, and if she doesn't eat, then you're not going to get very good production. She's going to look pretty bad. That's about all we're going to cover right now, and hope that you guys can bear with my poor video positioning, I guess, and I'll try and get better as we go along. Thanks for watching. If you like anything that we've got going, subscribe, tell your friends. You know, we appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.